welcome back to another video. Now, last few days we've seen some crazy moves in the MotoGP paddock, from Marquez to the factory team, Jorge Martin to Aprilia, Enea Bastianini, Mike Vinales going to KTM. Very strange times going on in the paddock. So today I'm going to try and fill up the rest of the grid for 2025. Now, everyone you can see on screen, every rider with a real picture of the rider and their name is confirmed for 2025 and will be on that bike. That leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seats to fill up. And I have a rider's number in each slot. I will reveal one at a time and explain my decision. I will get towards the end. They're fucking mad. I don't understand them. I don't know how I've put some people in these teams. I spent ages doing it and I just couldn't find... I couldn't fill up the seats. Now, there's one disclaimer. Pramac may or may not stay with Ducati. They may go to Yamaha, which means some of these, if they do decide to go to Yamaha, I'd imagine my rider lineup may not work. Bar one rider, I believe one rider will, regardless of manufacturer. But we're going to start up with the very first one. We're going to start with a couple of easy ones because we need a win or two. So, number 42, I reckon he'll stay put on the factory Yamaha alongside Fabio. I think he's seen enough over the first half season he's been with Yamaha to believe in the project, and again with the rules changing in 27, I'd imagine he'll stick around for another few years with Yamaha, so I reckon that's a done deal. Next one is someone who's without a job currently, and that is Mr. Miller. I reckon he will end up on a Repsol Honda. The reason behind that is Mir. To be honest, I just don't think physically, mentally, everything in between, he can ride a Repsol Honda again next year. I think he's just, that project is finished for him. I think he has to get away for his own health and his career. I think Miller, after losing out on an opportunity, maybe demoted in KTM down to the Tech 3 KTM Racing of next year's team, formerly known as Gascas. After that kind of was pulled out from underneath him, I reckon his only opportunity is a Repsol Honda seat as a kind of a test rider / racer, just try and build them up. I think Repsol know themselves that they're in a weak spot. I think Luca Marini and Jack Miller in a factory outfit is probably one of the weakest we've ever seen on the grid. I saw someone today somewhere, it must have been Reddit or Twitter, putting Jack Miller on a factory Aprilia. I'd laugh so hard at that. He's done very little with the opportunities, and I'm a fan of Jack as well. I defend him to the end of time, but he's not done enough with his opportunities, unfortunately. And again, this year he's been pretty poor, crashing every race weekend. And yeah, if he bags another factory seat, even though it's factory Repsol, which comes with a bit of an asterisk at the moment, he's still done a fabulous job for me. Now, next rider, this is the first kind of big move I've made, and I'll explain it when we see it. Number 72 of Marco Bezzecchi onto a factory Aprilia. Now, of course, Aprilia being Italian, Bezzecchi being also Italian, and Aprilia have basically said before the Martin thing they were strongly looking for a strong young Italian rider, and they had mentioned that they were kind of fiercely after Enea Bastianini. Of course, Marc Marquez throwing a grenade into the 2025 lineup and blowing everyone left, right and sideways kind of put that to bed that Bastianini would go to factory Aprilia. He'd end up on a second tier KTM instead, which means I still imagine they will want a younger upcoming Italian, and I think Bezzecchi is perfect for that. The other rider you could maybe mention here would be Fabio Di Gianantonio, but I think outright speed and of a factory team, you probably would be hedging your bets towards Bezzecchi, and I think he'd go well on that RSGP. So I'm really excited if that would to come true, to see Jorge Martin and Bezzecchi both leaving Ducati and jumping onto your Aprilia. That would be a very strong team next year for me. Now, the next rider is a rider staying put in my eyes. That will be Di Gianantonio on a VR46 Ducati for 25. He could potentially maybe go back to Gresini, but I don't think he would. I think he's actually showed quite good form this year. Maybe his results haven't been amazing, but I really believe he's been the second best GP23 rider. If you take out Marc Marquez, people will be talking a lot more about how well Digi's done this year. But overall, he's been really strong. Now, I'm going to be honest, from here on, we have a lot of seats left to fill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A lot of them are... Some of them are questionable, some are not. The next one, this one I believe is more likely going to happen, especially if Pramac go to Yamaha. That is Frankie Morbidelli into the VR46 Academy rider. Rossi is his main manager, so there's a lot of reasons why you could see this. His adaptation to the Ducati is coming along nicely after having 2 good results in Mugello. I'd like to see him kick on from here and have a decent second half, or finish off the first half of the season strong and have a really good second half of the season aboard his Pramac GP24 Ducati. I reckon he'll be on the grid next year. I think, again, just the backing he has from Valentino will be enough to keep him. Now, the next one is probably one of the strangest ones I've done, and I don't know how he did it, but we're going to just show it. Yeah, Mir on a Pramac Ducati / Pramac Yamaha. I'll be straight there. If it went to Pramac Yamaha, I could see him trying to get on that bike. The reason behind this, right, is Mir is a 2-time world champion. He's a MotoGP world champion. And yes, he has gone to Honda. It's been terrible. He's crashed his brains out. He looks like a shadow of his former self. Give him a brand new Ducati, he's a front runner again in my eyes. I still don't think he's like Quartararo, Pecco, Marquez level. When he maybe Binder sort of level of rider in my eyes. I think it's a really good rider to have in your team, and I think that Ducati have lost the Spanish, and of course Pramac are a Spanish team. You could see them tucked nicely in with Mir if he goes to Yamaha with the Pramac team. So yeah, overall it's just it's a good move, I think, for him if it comes through. And it's a bit of a weird one, but the more you kind of talk your way through it, it is a move you could see happening more. Now, next rider is a bit of a same move again. He stays put, Alex Marquez. I could see him staying put. I'd imagine Mark Marquez, that is, being in the factory red. It would make sense that they'd probably hold on to his brother in Gresini. I don't see him going anywhere. I don't see him getting promoted to the Pramac team. Now, the next rider is our first rider up from Moto 2, and that would be Joe Roberts into the Trackhouse Aprilia. Now, of course, Joe, the Californian, is having a fabulous season in Moto 2 with the American racing team. And, of course, Trackhouse, American-backed, would really would want to see a young, fiery American who has a lot of talent, who's kind of a character off the bike. Funnily enough, a couple of years ago, had the opportunity to sign for Aprilia, turned it down. At the time, didn't look like the best opportunity, and to be honest, his career kind of stalled a bit, and he didn't really do much afterwards, and kind of looked like his opportunity had come and gone. But he's had a much better time in Moto 2 with the Pirelli tyres that we've seen this year. So the jump to MotoGP now looks almost nailed on, and the owner of the Trackhouse team has come out kind of banging the drum about Joe as well. So that is almost nailed on, which means we're going to lose one of the Trackhouse Aprilia riders. Now, the other guy I'm going to put alongside him, I'm going to keep Raul Fernandez. His start to the season has been a lot better. And for me, Miguel is still on the grid. We will figure that out in a minute. I think Raul's done enough. I think he's building into a pretty tidy rider. We saw what he did in Catalunya. I think they'll probably keep him. And again, I think Aprilia are pretty fond of Raul Fernandez as a rider. So I'd imagine that will stay put there. Now, the next one is a Pramac guy, and if they go Pramac Ducati, it's nailed on that Fermin Aldeguer will be there. Now, if it goes Pramac Ducati, I'm not too sure where he ends up, because I filled all the other Ducati seats, or I will in a second. But for me, I think Fermin is going to be on brand new equipment next year. In terms of Ducati, it just is a question of where. Now, maybe you could argue he could go into the VR46 squad, swap him with Morbidelli if they keep him, have Morbidelli alongside Mir if that happens, and put him into a kind of a lower down team, give him a couple of years maybe just out of the limelight. Pramac is one of the top teams in the class, so as a rookie it would be a lot of eyes on his progression. But next up is someone who, to be honest, is kind of dead wood in this class in my eyes. He's probably doing his best to stick around. He stayed around a bit too long for my liking. That is Taka Nakagami. I don't think Chantra is good enough to take the spot off him, and I don't think Ayagor wants the spot, to be brutally honest. I think Ayagor could have had it for many years now. I think maybe you could argue Ayagor wins the Moto2 championship and goes up, but I still think he'd nearly try and get himself a Pramac Yamaha if that's on the table, or maybe just seek employment elsewhere than going into the Honda team. As well, the Honda just is not a good bike, and you would not want to be wasting a couple of years of your career in a low-leveling Honda at the moment. So that leaves one man, and of course it is Miguel Oliveira onto a year-old Gresini Ducati. Now, I filled up the grid here, and in fairness, as I went back through it and explained all my thought process. I actually don't feel as bad. There's still some questions like Mir on a Pramac Ducati sounds outrageous considering the time he's at a Honda, but also you need to remember what that rider is deep down. He is a world champion, and at the end of the day, that is a no mean feat, and he's done it twice. He did it in Moto 3 and of course in Motogp as well. So yeah, just let me know what you think of this one. It took me a long time to put this together. I really appreciate your feedback down below. Do you agree, disagree? Maybe in the comments let me know what you think is nailed on for next year. The more I look at it, the more I'm kind of going, yeah, I could see this. Like, there's nothing, I don't think anything here is ridiculous. I think everything is pretty much, yeah, that's fair enough. The more I keep looking across numbers, there's nothing really screaming out at me. It's probably just a mirror on a Pramac Ducati, but again, if you actually give that serious thought, that could happen. For me, he's going to be on a Ducati next year. Digi still in VR46, that's possible. Frankie, again, I think Frankie will end up somehow in the VR46 squad, whether it be next year or the year afterwards. Nakagami, I just don't think anyone's going to take a seat. Joe Roberts nailed on. Raul, I pretty like him, did like to keep him there. Miller, it may be a question mark. Maybe a lot of, I've seen someone maybe mention that Miguel could go to Repsol Honda, as I know Honda tried to get his services when he was let go by KTM, but he chose Aprilia, so maybe would he go now? That for me would put Jack out of the class completely. So yeah, Zecchi to Aprilia. I can, again, Italian manufacturer, young promising Italian rider, I could see that. So yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have enjoyed this wonderful mess of an image you have in front of you, and I hope you have enjoyed it, and wish to see you again in a future MotoGP video. Thank you all. See you in the next one. Slán go fóill.